How about our Democrats coming out to attack Zohran Mamdani with the worst, most bad faith, disgusting, Islamophobic, racist attacks possible? Democrats. So here is Eric Swalwell, congressman.
I don't.
And he says something about, like, I don't represent what Zohran said about Jewish people. And by the way, he said nothing about Jewish people. He's criticized Israel.
And frankly, stylistically, and I'm not a socialist, and I don't associate myself with what he has said about the Jewish people. And
he said nothing about, there's no quote you can find about Jewish people. I mean, Zohran has talked at length, okay, all the time about protecting every person, especially in New York City. He wants to expand the hate crime task force by 800% for their funding and a bunch of other different measures. Tying this to him not liking Jewish people is freaking crazy. And he's one Democrat that did it, Swalwell. He's a really big attention whore as well, by the way.
Side of Israel.
And this is another one who's going crazy. Laura Gillen.
New York City is the home to the largest Jewish population outside of Israel. How can someone who traffics in that kind of speech represent that constituency effectively? His comments are really disturbing. His comments about intifada, calls for violence against Jewish.
Saying he's calling for violence. Okay, you can disagree with his interpretation, but all he said was that intifada means uprising and revolution to some, and also means a violent uprising and a massacre to others. So, I mean, there are people that have those two different opposing views there. And that's probably okay that you have different views of a word in a different language that can have different nuances. So if you call something a revolution and someone says, well, a revolution is the civil rights movement, or a revolution is the American Revolution, that's good framing. But if the revolution is the Nazi revolution, that'd be a bad revolution, obviously. So, I mean, you can make that comment. He's never said directly at all whatsoever about calling for violence. There's a reason him and what's his name, Brad Lander, the controller that endorsed Zohran of New York City, the top Jewish official in New York City, endorsed Zohran, ran with him. They campaigned together, a Muslim and a Jewish man. But it's clear Democrats are very angry about this. Democrats are very, very, very angry. And Gillibrand, the senator, I saw a clip of her. I'm not going to pull it up because everyone's seen it already. But she said that that Zohran is a jihadist, which is like saying every single Christian is a KKK member, based off no information. All bad faith interpretations. And don't get it twisted at all. Do not get it twisted at all. Gillibrand and all these different individuals, they are doing this to smear Zohran because he tapped into something real. Okay, again, he's further left than I am, further left. But the style he runs on, the way he speaks, the convincing he's able to do, the movement he can lead is crazy. I don't think people understand how big this win was, how huge and consequential this win was. It's sending a huge shock throughout the entire country, the entire Democratic Party. But Gillibrand is playing nice with the crypto gods. She is friends with the cryptocurrency gods. She wants to make sure they can install a surveillance state in America. She is paid off completely. But also, I saw the Pod Save America guys. These are former Obama officials and speechwriters, I'm pretty sure. And they talked about how, like, if you are Democrats right now, you need to come out and support Zohran. Because if you do not do this, the entire party is fracturing beyond repair, which is an opinion I agree with. You cannot scold progressives. You cannot scold people on the left. You cannot scold voters to say vote blue no matter who. And then one guy wins and you don't like his policies all the way. And by the way, when it comes to ridiculous policies, $30 minimum wage, maybe that's high. It is high. It's New York City as well. So we cannot judge that with the entire country in perspective. People that work in New York City in sanitation or other jobs, they cannot afford to live in the city. So there are some economic differences with New York City. Again, I don't agree with that policy. But you can deal with wonky policies. You can deal with a pilot program for grocery stores, especially in a country where Donald Trump is talking about removing all taxes, having every single product made in America, like coffee that's not even made in America. He wants to pass the biggest budget deficit bill in American history. Trump is the most economically illiterate best friend of Jeffrey Epstein in the entire world. If you want to disagree with Zohran, okay, let him, support him. The voters chose him as the candidate. If he wins, he'll do the policies that you say are so bad. He'll fail. He will fail. Democracy will work. Democrats need to stop being openly anti-democracy. And Pod Save America here, I think, have some pull because they are in these elite circles with consultants and other people who are going to be a part of this decision-making process on how different politicians go about endorsing or not endorsing Zohran.
Donald Trump tried to steal the last election. When he failed, fomented a violent insurrection against the Capitol. Cops were brutally assaulted. They tried to kill members of Congress and his own vice president. He then wins the election, pardons the people who violently assaulted cops. And what we've had, at least at the beginning of the administration, is some Democrats being like, I'll work with them where it makes sense. I'll vote for some of his nominees where they're good. And then now we're like, oh, but if it's the mayor of New York City who wants to give people free buses and rent control and has...
Yeah, true, bro. It's all write a letter to Donald Trump. Donald Trump, we really are concerned about the way you are disrespecting the decorum of our nation. But when it comes to Zohran, it's like we are going to get a task force together behind the scenes. Every powerful institution in the world is going to come together. All the billionaires, all the rich people are going to make a fund to make sure this one candidate does not become New York City mayor. Meanwhile, Hakeem Jeffries and Ruben Gallego and Kirsten Gillibrand and all these different Democratic Congress people, they are dining with crypto gods, Mark Andreessen, flirting with Peter Thiel, Palantir, flirting with Elon Musk. Palantir supported Andrew Cuomo's campaign. At the same time where all this is happening, it's clear many Democrats want to play nice with these crypto tech gods. They are in favor of expanding this surveillance state. And that's not even it's not a controversial take at this point. It's not a controversial take. And I think Bernie Sanders may have said that the Democrats are willing to go down with the Titanic instead of saving it. They'd rather be captain of the Titanic and have it go down rather than actually having a chance to save it.
Has said that he doesn't know if he's going to police the term globalize the intifada, even though he doesn't use it, which is admittedly a dumb answer. But for him, we're going to say absolutely not. This is very concerning. I can't do it. But for Donald fucking Trump, be like, well, I'll work with them where I can.
If you are more concerned about a Democratic socialist in City Hall than a fascist in the White House, you're not living in the right times here, people.
Yeah, dude. And elected Democrats have this exact flow, bro. And by the way, Harry Sisson from TikTok. I've been calling out Harry Sisson. I know I have a very small platform, obviously, but Harry Sisson is following party lines 100%. And it's a really big deal. Oh man, dude.
Yeah, I've spoken several times with Tom Homan, who is basically running the inner city ICE programs. And, he told me, he said he's been pushed at every corner when he goes to these big cities. I'm sure if you get a mayor like this that takes over, it'll even be worse. And that's when you can stop the federal funding. You can do anything. President Trump can do anything he wants when it comes to federal.
This is a football coach, by the way. Football coach.
Again, these inner city rats, they live off the federal government. And that's one.
It's crazy, too, because Democrats would never say this about conservatives, but Democrats get blamed for being anti-working class and being rude and condescending. Democrats get blamed for this kind of rhetoric. And the truth is, blue states fund the red states in America. Blue areas have a much higher economic output than red areas in America. It's not even close. All right? The fact he's going to say that these rats from these federal inner cities are leeching off of us is insane for many different reasons. But he can say that. He's allowed to say that. He's a Republican. They have no standards. Shit tastes great when your standard is something worse than shit. That's not really a good line, but you know what I'm saying. But like, it's insane Republicans get away with this shit. It's insane they get away with it. Being liars, not only being bad people, being liars, being con artists, being people who have defrauded millions of people before they got jobs being politicians. They could just say this shit. And when Donald Trump militarizes cities and throws in the National Guard and flirts with sending in the military and sending in the Marines, this language is meant to normalize dehumanizing people in certain areas of the country. These leftists are crazy radicals, and they have brain damage, and we These are rats who are leeching off our country and bringing terrorists to America. These illegal terrorists, blah, blah, blah. Like, all those different words are to prime people for an authoritarian, overwhelming, militarized response to your political enemies. Okay, Republicans are setting the ground for more political violence on behalf of them. They love doing this, and they're going full-fledged right now. Tying in that a Republican congressman who just called for Zohran to be deported, denaturalized, and deported from America as well. Saying things like no Muslim should be able to live in America. Saying that Zohran is the cause of 9/11, which is crazy for, I mean, it's not only bad or stupid, it's also very, 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 very dumb. Very dumb. Republicans in this country are closer in ideology to Al Qaeda when it comes to social policies. I won't not Al Qaeda. Closer to Iran and Qatar and Saudi Arabia in their social policies. They're closer to their social policies than they are Europe, and they are happy being closer to Russia. They want to be closer to El Salvador. Republicans are closer to Russia than they are Europe right now with social policies. Republicans in America are authoritarians. But again, Democrats are joining them in this exact same rhetoric. So it's hard to fight back against it when the entire party machine from both sides, including the other corporate wing of the uniparty, as a lot of idiots say. I don't use the term uniparty, but at this point, they act as it when it comes to a candidate like Zohran. Really fun times. Drop a like, comment, subscribe if you're watching. I'll take some phone calls if you guys want to call the number. Make sure you drop a like on the stream. Likes help me in the algorithm to get me more callers, more chatters, more viewers, all that kind of stuff. Trump released his first anti-Thomas Massie ad. What? Thomas Massie is a libertarian, by the way.
What happened to Thomas Massie? President Trump is banning sex changes on minors. Massie voted against it. President Trump is cutting taxes and saving Kentucky families $10,000. Massie voted against it. President Trump is securing our border and deporting criminal aliens. Massie voted against Trump again. And after Trump obliterated Iran's nuclear weapons program, Massie sided with Democrats and the Ayatollah. Let's fire Thomas Massie. MAGA Kentucky is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Holy crap, dude. That's some hardcore stuff. So Thomas Massie, a libertarian, stands up against Trump like a little bit. I think he votes with Trump 95% of the time. And this is how hard Trump goes after Thomas Massie. Like, this is how hard they're going after Thomas Massie, bro. I did not expect this.
President Trump is banning sex changes on minors.
They're going this hard?
Massie voted against it.
They're showing Massie with the drag queen and with his face looking like, bro, they're really going at him. I did not think they were going to go after Massie this hard. I did not, because Massie's pretty popular. Bro.
What happened to Thomas Massie? President Trump is banning sex changes on minors. Massie voted against it. President Trump is cutting taxes and saving Kentucky families $10,000.
$5 giving you those
Massie
momgasms.
voted against it. President Trump is...
Who just said that?